When Corey Haim first revealed the story of the horrific treatment he suffered as a child star, many believed he was talking about Charlie Sheen. Ultimately, even more information came out after his untimely death, and the truth was much darker than anybody knew. Corey Haim could be a poster boy for child actors who failed to launch as adults. It was addiction that got him in the end. Join me in exploring the story of Corey Haim. Growing up, Corey's mother noticed something worrisome about her son. For a reserved teenager, the spotlight was not a place he wanted to be. However, his mother thought that thrusting him onto a stage would cure his shyness. She signed him up for improv classes and even mime lessons. Unlike Corey, his older sister Carrie did want to act. It soon became his job to go with her to auditions. While Carrie was met mostly with rejection, Corey got the opposite reaction. Even though he wasn't auditioning, producers wanted him. First, he did some commercials, and then he got his first role on a Canadian educational TV show called The Edison Twins. It wouldn't be long before he made the massive leap to Hollywood. In 1984, when he was 13, he won a role in a movie, a thriller called Firstborn. In it, Corey plays the son of a woman who begins seeing a not-so-nice guy named Sam, played by Peter Weller. On his first day on set, Corey made the mistake of trying to compliment Peter Weller on his acting. Weller, who played the boy's violent stepfather, grabbed the barely teenage Corey, threw him against a wall, and demanded that he never speak to him again on set. Weller later blamed his behavior on his method acting. Even though his parents divorced in 1982, Corey was still hurting. At a crew party for the movie, he watched as his parents danced, but not with each other. On seeing his parents with other partners, he burst into tears. After a few smaller roles, Corey's career gained momentum. In 1985, he landed a lead role in Silver Bullet and won a Young Artist Award for his performance in the TV movie A Time to Live alongside Liza Minnelli. Through a Hollywood agent, someone who quickly helped Corey secure another role in the 1986 movie Lucas, where he played the main character. But behind the scenes, trouble was brewing. Years later, Corey's close friend and fellow 80s star Corey Feldman revealed shocking allegations. Feldman claimed that during the filming of Lucas, Charlie Sheen, one of Corey's co-stars, sexually assaulted him. A revelation that added another tragic layer to Corey Haim's already devastating story. Charlie Sheen firmly denied the allegations against him, but an unexpected ally emerged to defend him, Corey Haim's sister, Carrie. She reportedly claimed that Sheen couldn't have been involved with her brother because he was too preoccupied with her at the time. With her statement, the accusations seemed to fade into the background. However, in 2017, Sheen faced new allegations of assaulting Corey Haim during the filming of Lucas. This time, the claim came from actor Dominic Braccia, who had worked with Corey on The Lost Boys and had become his friend. Corey's mother, Judy, eventually stepped forward to address the situation. She asserted that nothing could happen on the Lucas set without her knowing about it. Surprisingly, she turned the tables by accusing Dominic Braccia of being the one who had abused her son. This statement sparked speculation, with some suggesting that Sheen may have influenced her to make such claims. Regardless of the truth behind what happened during the filming of Lucas, one thing was certain. Corey's performance in the movie had captured attention. His rising fame prompted him to leave Canada and move to Los Angeles to pursue his career. Not long after, director Joel Schumacher began casting for his vampire movie, The Lost Boys. Corey landed a role in the film where he met another young actor who would profoundly impact his life, Corey Feldman. While most of their castmates were old enough to party, the two Coreys bonded over quiet nights watching movies together. Their friendship quickly blossomed. The Lost Boys became a hit, earning its place as a cult classic and marking the beginning of a successful on-screen partnership between Corey and Feldman. Fans started referring to them as the two Coreys, and it seemed like Corey Haim had found both a close friend and a reliable collaborator. But as with many Hollywood stories, things didn't stay perfect for long. Trouble was brewing beneath the surface. During the filming of their second movie together, License to Drive, director Greg Beeman described the Coreys as playful teens who occasionally disappeared from the set. Despite their antics, he noted that they always arrived on time and ready to work. On the surface, it seemed like harmless teenage fun. But behind the scenes, Corey Haim was battling darker issues. One notable challenge during the production of License to Drive was that Corey Haim needed to drive a car for the movie, but he only had a learner's permit. To comply with legal requirements, the producers had an adult hidden in the back seat whenever he drove. However, there was another, more troubling reason why Corey wasn't fit to be behind the wheel. He later revealed that by this time, he was already struggling with addiction. During a stint in rehab, doctors had prescribed him medication to manage withdrawal symptoms, which inadvertently fueled a deeper dependency. This marked the beginning of a long and difficult battle with addiction that would overshadow much of his career. Valium quickly became a massive issue for the young actor, as his dependency spiraled out of control. At one point, he was reportedly taking up to 85 pills a day. Fans began noticing his struggles with addiction, and this took a toll on his career. His movies started flopping and audiences lost interest. With his popularity dwindling, Corey Haim shifted to making direct-to-video films. In one of these projects, he starred alongside his then-girlfriend, Nicole Eggert, best known for her role on Baywatch. While their days were spent on set, their nights were often spent in the emergency room, dealing with the fallout from Corey's addiction. Although the two eventually got engaged, their relationship didn't last, and they broke things off before walking down the aisle. Despite his personal struggles, Corey still had some money left and decided it was time to upgrade his living situation. He purchased a mansion in LA's upscale Hancock Park neighborhood, but for reasons that baffled many, he bought the property with his manager, Michael Bass. This decision turned out to be a disaster. Bass, who had previously served 2 years in prison for fraud, hadn't exactly turned over a new leaf. He rushed the purchase of the house under the guise of hosting a charity event for Toys for Tots, but insiders claimed the event was nothing more than a scam. This was just the beginning of the problems. About a year later, Corey tried to fire Bass, but the manager refused to leave. Tensions escalated, and Corey ended up shooting at Bass with a BB gun. His close friend Corey Feldman stepped in to bail him out, paying $250 to secure his release. Not long after, Corey and Feldman were drawn into another controversial chapter. In the midst of Michael Jackson's legal troubles, Feldman publicly defended the pop star. After settling his case out of court, Jackson invited Feldman and Corey to visit his Neverland Ranch as a thank you. This marked the beginning of Corey's connection to Jackson, a friendship that would raise eyebrows in the years to come. Around this time, Corey and Feldman were churning out a string of forgettable, straight-to-video films. Hoping to revive his career, Corey auditioned for the role of Robin in Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever. He likely thought Schumacher, who had worked with him on The Lost Boys, might give him a break. Unfortunately, the role went to Chris O'Donnell, leaving Corey disappointed once again. His erratic behavior and ongoing addiction made it hard for even his old connections to help him. Still reeling from the Batman Forever rejection, Corey agreed to star in Feldman's directorial debut, Busted. However, his addiction worsened during production. While the film was a low-budget comedy, Feldman took the project seriously and couldn't tolerate Corey's unreliability. Corey frequently missed work or showed up under the influence, forcing Feldman to make the difficult decision to fire his longtime friend. By 1996, Corey was preparing to star in Paradise Bar, but his addiction created yet another setback. When filling out his insurance paperwork, he hesitated over a question about pre-existing medical conditions. Addiction was listed, but he chose not to disclose it. This decision came back to haunt him. Once the producers discovered his struggles, they reviewed his insurance form and involved Lloyd's of London, who sued him for $375,000. This lawsuit only added to Corey's growing financial troubles. He already owed $100,000 to the IRS and another $100,000 to various creditors. His assets were pitiful: a mere $100 in cash, an Alfa Romeo Spider, some clothes, and a small pension fund. On top of everything, his addiction left him virtually unemployable, making it nearly impossible for him to dig himself out of debt. In July 1997, Corey Haim found himself in a desperate situation and decided to file for bankruptcy. To escape his financial troubles, he returned to Canada, where he worked on a film called Without Malice, shot in a remote part of Saskatchewan. The small town had just one bar, and locals noted that Corey was a frequent visitor, often staying until closing time. On set, his behavior raised eyebrows. He would repeatedly halt production to call home and check on his dog, which left many questioning his stability. By 2001, Corey had reached his lowest point, a struggle documented on True Hollywood Story. The show revealed him living in a modest Santa Monica apartment with his mother. A local pawn shop owner recalled Corey pleading for just $3 to buy a slice of pizza, showing how dire his situation had become. In 2003, he appeared in David Spade's comedy Dickie Roberts, former child star. Although fictional, the movie featured real former child stars, including Corey and Corey Feldman, as well as actors from classic shows like The Brady Bunch. For Corey, it was a small gig that provided some much-needed cash, even though his acting career was largely stagnant. In 2006, VH1 ranked Corey 8th on their list of the greatest teen stars, which sparked an idea for him. Why not create a reality show? This led to The Two Coreys, a series where he lived with Feldman and his wife while trying to rebuild his career. However, viewers were stunned by Corey's appearance, as his struggles with addiction had taken a visible toll. The show also revealed painful truths. In one episode, Corey disclosed that he had been sexually abused at 14 by a man who was a friend of Feldman's. Feldman admitted he had known about the abuse, which lasted 2 years. This revelation strained their friendship, and the pair briefly paused production. Despite winning a Canadian Gemini Award for the show, Corey's financial woes persisted. In desperation, he resorted to selling unusual items, including NFTs of his hair and even a tooth. Corey's money problems worsened, but he became optimistic when he heard about a sequel to The Lost Boys. As an original cast member, he assumed he'd automatically be included, only to learn there wasn't a role for him. The producers offered him a cameo, but when he arrived on set under the influence, they sent him home. This rejection was a turning point for Corey, prompting him to commit to turning his life around. Remarkably, Corey managed to revive his acting career. At the time the third Lost Boys film was in development, he declined to participate as he was already committed to other projects such as Shark City, Crank, High Voltage, American Sunset, and Decisions. Determined to stay clean, he even requested drug-free sets. For a while, it seemed like Corey was finally back on track. In early 2010, Corey Haim started feeling unwell, complaining of flu-like symptoms. A doctor who visited him at home dismissed it as nothing serious. But just a few days later, Corey collapsed after getting out of bed. His mother found him unconscious and immediately called for help. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital, but tragically, in the early hours of the next day, 38-year-old Corey Haim was pronounced dead. Initially, doctors suspected an overdose, as Corey had reportedly used fake names to obtain prescription medications. While many assumed drugs were to blame, the official cause of death was later determined to be pneumonia and lung damage. Adding to the heartbreak, Corey's mother couldn't afford to pay for his funeral. Thankfully, the city of Toronto had a fund to assist in cases like this, and a memorabilia site where Corey had sold personal items stepped in to help. In the end, the funeral home itself covered the costs, ensuring Corey could be laid to rest. Yet, even after the funeral, one question loomed large. What really happened to Corey Haim? A decade after his death, Corey Feldman released a documentary exploring the lives of both Coreys. In it, Feldman alleged that several men had abused one or both of them during their childhood. He also claimed there was a group, which he referred to as the Wolf Pack, working to discredit victims like him. While some dismissed Feldman's claims as far-fetched, others believed there was a dark truth behind the tragic lives of the two actors. Feldman spoke about his visits to Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch with Corey, saying they mostly spent time riding go-karts and watching movies. However, years later, a more disturbing story surfaced. Ed Meyer, a producer of the two Coreys, claimed to have a recording of Corey alleging that Jackson had inappropriately touched him after their first meeting. Following this revelation, Feldman stopped defending the late pop star. He remains firm in his belief that both he and Corey were victims of powerful predators in Hollywood, and insists there's a deliberate effort to keep the truth buried. Feldman's concerns aren't entirely unfounded. The same year Corey passed away, the Academy Awards left his name out of the in memoriam segment, almost as if Hollywood had already begun erasing him from memory. The story of Corey Haim is a tragic reminder of the dark side of fame. And if you enjoyed today's story, please like and subscribe. See you again.